Today, we will talk about derived demand. Derived demand is the demand for a good or service that results from the demand for a different, or related, good or service. In other words, it is the demand for something that is needed to produce another product. For example, the demand for smartphones can create a derived demand for the raw materials needed to manufacture them. Derived demand is directly related to the demand for a product or service based on its ability to acquire or produce another good or service. This can include the demand for capital, land, labor, and necessary raw materials required for production. When one sector sees an increase in demand, other sectors responsible for its success may also see gains. The pick-and-shovel investment strategy focuses on investing in the technology needed to produce a good or service that is experiencing an increase in demand, rather than investing in the end product itself. This strategy is named after the tools used during the California gold rush, where the demand for picks and shovels derived from the demand for gold. As the demand for computers rises, we also see a derived demand for related products such as computer peripherals and internal components like motherboards and video cards. The trend of people expanding their home computing capabilities also contributes to this derived demand. While some production materials may not see large changes in demand based on shifts in the popularity of specific products, derived demand can still have a significant impact on the market for goods and services. Derived demand occurs when the demand for a good or service results in an increased demand for a related good or service. When the demand for a product increases, the demand for the raw materials, labor, technology, and processed materials used to produce that product also increases. The demand for a good or service affects the demand for related goods and services, as well as the raw materials, labor, technology, and processed materials used to produce those goods and services. Companies can anticipate and plan for demand shifts when demand for a related or complementary product or service changes. Direct demand is the demand for a final product or service and is not affected by the demand for other products or services. Derived demand, on the other hand, is the demand for a product or service based on the demand for another product or service. Derived demand consists of labor, raw materials, and processed materials. Labor is the work used to produce final goods and services, raw materials are the resources used to manufacture a product, and processed materials are the products created from raw materials and labor. Derived demand occurs when demand for a good or service affects the demand for a related good or service. Comprised of raw materials, processed goods, and labor, derived demand can influence the demand for its associated components, the technology needed for production, and the derived product's market price. However, demand shifts may not significantly affect the demand for raw and processed materials that produce many other products. Here are 5 key takeaways. 1. Derived demand is the demand for a good or service that results from the demand for a different, or related, good or service. 2. Derived demand is related solely to the demand placed on a product or service for its ability to acquire or produce another good or service. 3. The demand that is derived from the demand for another product can be an excellent investing strategy when used to anticipate the potential market for goods outside of the original product desired. 4. The pick-and-shovel investment strategy guides investors to invest in the technology needed to produce a good or service that is realizing an increase in demand. 5. Certain raw or processed materials, widely used to produce various products, may not see a shift in demand when the demand for a final product changes. Hope this would help. Thanks for watching.